promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach K. Stevenson. Here on this Wednesday afternoon, we're here to talk some football with you. First things first, I want to put out our studio line for everybody, 850-623-1330. That's 850-623-1330. You can call or text that line. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's on your mind, what you got going on. And listen, if you disagree with us on a subject, we'd love to talk about it. Jonah calls in every once in a while talking about some Dallas news and Tom Brady and whatever it may be. Always good to hear from him. But first things first, Coach, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well. Look forward to talking about all that's going on as usual. Yeah, there's a ton going on.
A lot to get to, Coach. And then listen, from NFL to college, we even have a little XFL today with some news coming out. Coach, I want to start with the XFL news, and it's not maybe what we think. We hear this every day. The coronavirus is coming, and it's affecting sports. Here, there, everywhere. Yeah. Well, the Seattle Dragons, the XFL Seattle Dragons, Seattle has placed a local ban on gatherings of more than 250. Well, Coach, they host the LA Wildcats this Sunday. And the other big news, of course, when you talk about this, we understand the severity of the coronavirus. Some people are freaking out more than others, and we understand that. My biggest thing in all this is just using common sense. Just like any other day, wash your hands, do what you can do, cover your mouth if you're going to cough, whatever. But when you look at the XFL, Coach, and Seattle was one where there was over 20,000 every game they had. It was a pretty good showing for them. Yeah. The Dragons have not released a statement as Seattle just approved this. This could be tremendous for them, Coach.
Well, it could be. It could be a real bump in the road. Certainly something that no one could even consider. A month ago even. But listen, if they've said that there will be no public gatherings over 250, whatever, then that's the law. That's the way it's going to be, and you just adhere to it. Now, I don't know whether they would try to switch that game. Would be interesting. I don't think at the last minute here, logistically, you could switch to another venue. I mean, you couldn't even have it ready, and you couldn't be prepared for any type crowd or anything. So I don't see that as a possibility. I think they just call it off.
Yeah, it's this is something we're seeing now. Listen, NBA, of course, over in Italy, they're playing their leagues over there, and there's nobody in the stands. They're just playing the game. This is something interesting, Coach, and we talked about this yesterday on the Sports Drive. Gino Auriemma, his Lady Huskies, they've done such a good job for so long. Well, playing in the tournament, they won, of course, their tournament game the other day, and they said, well, you can't shake hands, can't give fist bumps or whatever it may be. And Gino Auriemma said, well, wait a minute. My girls just sweated it out on the court for 2 hours playing, picking people up, all this other stuff, and you're telling me I can't shake somebody's hand? Let's just use common sense with this, which I thought was funny. But
yeah, that's like a basketball game, for crying out loud. And even the ball itself, everybody's touching the ball. So,
right.
A little ridiculous.
He's got a good point there.
Yeah.
Coach, I want to move on to some NFL news here. Tua to Washington has been something that we've talked about. Of course, you have talked about as well that's almost like a slap in the face. You used a first-round pick on a quarterback last year to go get another quarterback there. That's just like taking a step backwards on this. Well, rumors are now coming out. A source familiar with the team says the Tua rumors are just a lot of smoke. So there you go, Coach. When you talk about this,
that's what we said. It could be very easily could be what you normally hear this time of the year, positioning to get a heck of a trade offer. I don't know whether it'll take it or not, or whether it'll come for sure. But to get that offer is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one when you look at what Ron Rivera's done there. Of course, Daniel Snyder coming out and saying, "Listen, I've given him the keys." Well, there's a lot to be said with that. Everything works hand in hand when you're talking about this. And for Washington, listen, even if you did get Tua, that's not going to solve your problems. If you can get more picks, that's what you need right there. Well, Coach,
Just hold on that before we leave that subject. It's absolutely the subtraction of one, right? Now, if you take it a step further, there are some people that feel like it is a subtraction of two. Who would they pick there if they don't pick Tua? Probably Chase Young, the pass rusher from Ohio State, right? Well, supposedly once in a long period of time that you would have an opportunity to get a guy as talented as he is to rush the passer. If you did not get him, if you did not pick him, and you picked Tua, and then in that spot, you have lost your quarterback that you picked last year, number one, and you've lost Chase Young. There's no way to go back and pick him up. So some people count it as a subtraction of two. You can't really say that because you are picking up a body in Tua who could be outstanding, but it is something to be considered, especially what if he got hurt? What if he turned out to be something that you maybe didn't expect, meaning not as good as I don't see that happening with Tua, but anyway, you could at some point say that was a loss of two. So it could be devastating, but I really think this is a negotiating ploy on their part.
Coach, my question about Tua when we stay on this is when you look at Tua and the injuries that he's had, this is something with him that we wonder, is he going to be healthy? Now, we know so far he's have a clean bill of health for whatever that's worth. We're never sure, truly. Look, the young man has had 4 surgeries. He's been under the knife 4 times when you talk about in a matter of 2 or 3 seasons. Now, his talent level when he's healthy is phenomenal. I mean, there's bar none. Look, we've had guys come on here before. Even Bill Polian said, look, he's as talented as Joe Burrow when he's healthy. But it's a matter of when you look now at can he stay healthy. The NFL, things are faster. Tua has played with some of the best. When you talk about the Crimson Tide of Alabama, he's always had the best around him. He goes to the NFL, it's going to be a little bit different for him, but I don't think that takes away the talent. My question here is when you look at Tua, Coach, you've said before, even with the doctors, the doctors are the doctors. That's their job. They do what they're supposed to do. When you look at Tua, though, if he gets a clean bill of health and he is that, for the Dolphins or whatever, do you take that risk? Because what I'm saying here is it's such a risk. It's a tremendous risk. This is a guy that could be your quarterback for the next 10 years, or this is a guy that could literally, he's been injured. He had just gotten an accident or had an injury that you get when you get in a car wreck, which is so devastating for a guy that's already had 2 or 3 ankle surgeries and things like this. My question to you, Coach, when you look at Tua, if he is quote-unquote healthy, is he worth the risk to take in the first round early?
You have to rely on your medical team. If they tell you, and you can ask any number of questions, which you would, not just is he healthy right now today. That would be the start of it. What do you project with his injuries? Could there be an easy repeat of one of the injuries? Could he have an effect that might become a problem earlier than someone who didn't have those? It goes on and on and on. There could be a litany of questions that you could ask. Now, if all those questions come back good, it takes you to the next hurdle, which some people still adhere to. Some people don't. I'm sure there are people that don't. But we used to adhere to, for the most part, unless it was a tremendous exception. And I can't even remember an exception right now. But if a person has had 3 injuries, used to say 1 injury, tough luck, let's get up, get back in the game, and let's go play. 2, coincidence, tough luck, but still, let's overcome it, work hard, and get back and play. 3rd, third injury, and I'm talking about injuries that cost you playing time, serious injuries, not hurts. Everybody plays with hurts. But the third injury, now you have to start thinking about it being chronic over and over and over again. Would he get hurt again, again, again? Does he stay hurt? And there's some guys that have stayed in the training room, sign a contract, and stay in the training room for 2 to 3 years and never play. That is just devastating to your football team. So if you live by that old axiom of 3 strikes, you're out, then nobody would take him, because he has had 3 injuries that have kept him out of play. Now, I think he might be that extenuating circumstance because he does have so much talent. And if there's a possibility that he's going to be able, this is not going to be have a lingering effect, and this is just a huge coincidence, somebody's going to step up and take a chance with him. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my thing is when you look at Tua and the injuries that he's gone through, I think you're right. Listen, we've seen guys go through this before and people back out and they're like, no thanks. We've seen people, a team take a chance on a guy and it doesn't work out because he can't stay healthy. The biggest thing in the NFL, of course, these guys are getting bigger, faster, and stronger, and I understand they're trying to protect the quarterback, but this is a guy that's, had 4 injuries already in college. But I think the perfect point that you made, Coach, was his talent level exceeds anyone else that's been in this situation before. So somebody's going to take a chance on him, and hopefully it works out. Listen, I love watching Tua. I am not an Alabama fan. I have said that before. But Tua is just an exceptional player. He's an exceptional human being, a great person when you listen to him talk. He's someone that you hope goes out there and succeeds just because he's so much fun to watch. And when we go back to this, Coach, Joe Burrow, this is a guy that when you look at this, if Tua is healthy, you're talking about Joe Burrow and Tua. That you could draft either one, flip-flop or whatever. But, Coach, my question to you with Joe Burrow, is there any worry here? I mean, when you look at, you've watched Joe Burrow, you love him. I love him as well. When I've watched the film on him, watched the things he does, of course, he's been compared to Tom Brady and his the way his mechanics are. Should there be anything about Joe Burrow, because we're hearing all this good stuff about him, that we should step back and maybe look at a little bit harder and wonder maybe he's not going to have the success we think?
You'd have to dig so deep into the closet right now to answer that question. There is always, if you dig deep enough and you are inquisitive enough and tend to lean toward conspiracy theories enough, you would find something there that you didn't like. Guarantee you'd find something you didn't like. But you'd have to dig pretty deep on this guy, I think. The only thing that I'm not convinced on is I haven't been around him enough to really understand all of the intangibles. I think they're all there. I think that he checks all the boxes. Everything I've heard him say when he speaks, when he addresses his peers, when he talks to his coaches, when he talks to other people, I understand his knowledge of the game and what he did on the board for coaches blew him out of the water. Now, I tell you what, that's worth a lot right there. So I would say he checks all the boxes, and I can't imagine he would have any major problem.
Do we have any question marks when we talk about that, Coach? He, the year before, and I understand the system was different, but the year before he was very mediocre. Had about 16 touchdown passes, just looked average. And I understand that's a part of the system and the way they were running. They were a run-first team. Of course, Joe Brady comes in and changes all that. Coach, when you look at this, he had 1 year of really good success. Should we wonder if he is going to backtrack? And my next question, again, I've brought this up before. If you're Cincinnati right now, do you mold this team around him where it fits his style of offense and what they did at LSU, because you don't want to backtrack and go back to that because you've seen what that's been? Do you change? I know it's so hard. It's almost I'm trying to figure out the best way to ask this question, Coach, because I know the NFL is its own animal. in college it's a little bit easier to mold guys around you, but in the NFL, can the Cincinnati Bengals mold their offense around him, or are they going to try to mold him to their offense? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, here's the best one. The best things about him. Excuse me. He is extremely proficient at the traditional pro game. All right. What he does best is what you want in the National Football League. Now, you don't have to adapt a system to him. He's already your system.
That's a good
point.
When
he goes to the Cincinnati Bengals or any team in the National Football League, he's got your system. He is what you want because he's not some guy who's limited he's not some guy you'd have to build a whole offense around like you do in Baltimore or some other teams that, maybe Phoenix, Arizona or whatever. You wouldn't have to do that. But I think that he is absolutely the everything that you're looking for in the way of preparedness to go into the National Football League. Now, when you talk about mediocre year before, let's take a look at his history. He comes up, he's one of the he's a very proficient high school quarterback, goes to Ohio State. For whatever reason, and you realize the spring before he transferred, he had a huge spring game up there. He was the star of the spring game. And the coach,
Urban Meyer,
named the other kid as the starter. Okay, so that was he had performed as well as you could perform, and I understand just terribly outplayed anybody else in that spring game, but yet it was had no chance to be the starter. So he transferred to LSU. Now he goes down there. He's really not played all that, but LSU had a totally different system. It's like two different worlds, what they ended up with last year and what he walked into. When he went down there, it was he didn't have a spring, so he got there sometime late summer, so he had very little time to prepare into a foreign system and one that was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. No passing game, virtually no passing game whatsoever. And then give Coach O credit. He saw what they had. He obviously had talked to some other people, and they realized what they had in this kid. So he goes out and gets Brady, brings in Brady from the Saints. And they put in a system that, as I'm telling you, as a coach and looking at their system last year, it was a pleasure to watch LSU play.
Absolutely.
Because it was gosh, what a beautiful offensive system they had. And he just, it was perfect for him, perfect. And it was a traditional pro system. Now, and I've said this before, he looks like Tom Brady playing college football. He really did, with his preparedness, his everything about him, his stature, his arm strength, his body movement into the ball, away from the ball, avoiding the first rush, going to the open receiver very quickly, recognizing on a pre-snap look. He just had a lot of things going for him. So, no, that was just a real something that came together that you'll probably never see again.
Yeah, I agree. And, Coach, it's something that when you look at LSU and what they did, the team of destiny is what I called them, just because, Clemson was a really good football team in Clemson, that they were no match for what LSU was determined to do. That was just everything. Look, Joe Burrow, they asked him, when did you guys realize, at what part of the season did you realize that you guys had a legitimate shot that you were going to, go play for a national championship? Joe Burrow said, in the spring. I knew we were going to win it. We had talked about it. Everybody had met. Everybody had said, listen, this is a really good team. This system is going to work. The guys bought into it. And when he said the guys bought into the system, that was all we needed. He said when you've got 50-something guys buying into one thing, you're not going to be stopped. And that's what they did this year. That was what was so fun about them. And, Coach, I compare it to like what UWF did this year. Coach Shinnick and those guys. You have a freshman quarterback, Austin Reed, comes in. And listen, we'd had some really good quarterbacks. Caleb Nobles was a guy that now is on staff. He's the one that started this whole thing. And it's so funny when they talk about it in the championship game when they were backed up on the 1-yard line. And, you're thinking before half on the 1-yard line, let's just run it, try to get some space and run the clock out. They throw it 30 yards down the field and boom, 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 before you know it, they're going to score. And Caleb Nobles came to Coach Shinnick and said, listen, let's get it. Let's go. Let's move this forward. We can get these guys. And it was almost the same attack that you watched LSU do all year with the way that UWF utilized their backs. And then Austin Reed slinging the football all over, challenging guys, 50-50 balls that are not 50-50 with the receivers that we had around here. That's the way I look at the two teams. It was amazing just to go out there and watch them play.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, we're up against a break. When we come back, listen, we're going to have the Tom Brady tracker. And is it time for New England to start looking for who is going to be the incumbent to Tom Brady? You may already know the answer. Listen to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
JP here. Well, we're at the halfway point in the XFL season, and we have learned that hand models don't seem to be good quarterbacks. Shout out to the Dallas Renegades. The face of the XFL, PJ Walker, and the Houston Roughnecks can't be stopped, starting the season 5-0. And Oliver Luck joining in the DC Defenders Beer Snake. Pretty awesome. From all the top interviews to the recap of the past week's games and the predictions to the week ahead, we got it here on Inside the XFL. Join Coach K, Chad Brilliante, and myself every Monday and Friday at 12:30, right after Talk Football with Coach K.
His football career started as a quarterback at Pensacola High. It culminated as the coach of the Buffalo Bills. Now, Coach K. Stevenson talks football every day at noon on Talk Football with Coach K.
Kareem Hunt got pulled over last week for speeding.
This guy's been in trouble over and over and over again. Now, if they get him out of this, he will get in trouble again.
Noon to 1, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach K. Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon, talking some football with you. Well, Coach, when we talk about this, it seems every day, and it's going to be. Just go ahead and prepare yourselves, buckle up. It's the Tom Brady tracker. Well, surprising enough, Coach, the news hasn't really changed too much, except that some teams are ramping up. It seems that the rumor came out that all the teams that Tom Brady was interested in, they're not interested in him, which I disagree with that. Just throwing that out there.
Well, that's a long throw.
Yes, absolutely. Can't imagine that being the case. But, Coach, when you talk about it, it seems that, well, there's three teams in this: the Patriots, the Titans, and I'm with you on the dark horse in the Dallas Cowboys. I really, truly believe that that's somebody that, listen, we haven't heard. We haven't got a definite from Jerry Jones yet. They're trying to figure out if that deal can work with Dak. Dak seems to want more money, which is, you know what? That's his decision. More power to you. But
they may want this logjam they're having right now. Shock the world. You know, if Dallas does that, think about it. The Dallas Cowboys bring Tom Brady in there, and that's huge. That is huge news.
It is. And personally, of course, Coach, you know that I'm a Tennessee Titans guy. I'd love to see him go to the Titans. It's still, to me, to think that he's going to go anywhere other than New England is tough, but it seems like that's becoming more and more of a reality as the days are moving on here. Now, Coach, so my question to you is, look, this is something that I know people are starting to ask, and if you're New England fan, I know Chad's probably listening right now, but where does New England go if Tom Brady leaves? I mean, they have guys that are there, but when you look at a guy, who can be the incumbent to Tom Brady, I guess? Is it a free agent quarterback? Is it someone like Jarrett Stidham that's there? I mean, where do they go? Where would you go, in your opinion, on this?
Well, it's I think where I would go would need so much research that it would be impossible to even venture a guess. But I will tell you this, if at all possible, and I think this is Belichick, if at all possible, he's going to see what and evaluate what the move to Stidham, and just go with Stidham, what that might mean for his football team. Would that give him a chance? And if he thinks he can possibly do that, I think you might see him bring in an old pro. I don't think he's going to go pay a lot of money for a free agent and bring him in. I really don't. But I mean, it may happen. He could do that, but I would doubt it. I think you might see him bring in somebody that's been around as a backup and give Stidham the reins and see what he does.
I mean, I like Stidham, Coach. This is a guy that, look, at Auburn, of course, the system that he played under, he was not utilized the correct way. I always go back to, being there at the Music City Bowl, watching him play Purdue. The young man just showed out. It was almost like he just took the reins, took over, and just went to work, and it was so much fun to watch a guy like that. When you look at this, though, I agree with you. I don't think there's – and the other thing, too, there's not too many splashes that I think would possibly work that well in their system and what they're doing. Now, the other thing we have to remember with New England is they've got some offensive line problems. You mentioned as well the under-the-radar guy was Scarnecchia retiring because they dropped off last time he did this. Well, now he's retired for good.
Yeah.
He's at that age. Now you've got to go get a wide receiver or two. You need a tight end.
Listen, they've got some holes. If you can't admit the holes they have, then there's no way you're going to be able to put the puzzle together. And they do not have a quality receiver on that football team. When I talk receiver, I'm talking about outside people, X and Z. They have an outstanding slot guy in Edelman. They have no tight end who they've been very dependent on. Even think back during some of their better football teams where they employed 2 tight ends in the ball game, one being Gronkowski. And they have none now. They don't have they're playing with Watson last year as a tight end who's washed up 5 years ago. It's just not possible. They're missing their 2 offensive linemen short, I think, of having a quality front 5, and the loss of Skarnecki, who's irreplaceable. How do you go about replacing all of that and get it done in 1 year, one all season? I just don't see how they can do it. I think they're going to have to rebuild and in those areas. Now they're good enough if their defense can play somewhat as well as they did last year, which I don't think they're going to be able to do because they don't have Brady. If they don't have Brady moving the chains, which he did,
right,
which kept him off the field. If they've got to be out on the field that long, they're not going to be as good. But if they can maintain some proficiency, then Belichick will find a way to make it very competitive on anybody he plays. So they're going to win some ball games, and they're going to be right in there. I don't think they have enough firepower to even think about getting, beyond the playoffs. Maybe they're good enough to be a wild card or something in the playoffs. But that's what I see at New England right now, which is not which is not what they're used to looking at.
Yeah, that's true. And, Coach, when you look at the free agent market, if you're talking about for the Patriots to go get that guy now, look, they've got some picks in the draft. And I know they got 4 comp picks, 2 third-rounders as well, that they're going to get this year, which will help. And you're talking about the rebuild as well. But if you look at the free agent market at wide receiver, Coach, A.J. Green is going to they're going to tag him in Cincinnati to bring him back with Burrow. They've already said that. A.J. Green, I think, is okay with that with Burrow coming in. They've got a good quarterback. Amari Cooper, look, he's looking at $20+ million a year with Dallas right now. They're trying to work out a deal, and they said that if he doesn't come back or if he doesn't sign that they're going to tag him as well.
Dallas will keep Amari Cooper.
Right. I think regardless of who comes in at quarterback, that's another thing. If Brady was to come in there, you've got some good wide receivers there as well. But, Coach, when you look at this, outside of those 2 guys, the 2 big names, you've got Emmanuel Sanders, Devin Funchess, a Paul Richardson, a guy at Washington. It's kind of, these are not guys that New England can bring in that would be the guys that would wow Brady and want to make him come back. I mean, you saw guys like N'Keal Harry and Sanu come in there, and they thought that may help, and they kind of just flatlined. Josh Gordon, of course, what happened with him, which is a shame. You hope he can get better. Antonio Brown, that looked amazing for 1 game. You thought right there, the New England, like this New England team with Antonio Brown, this is unfair. You got Antonio Brown and Julian Edelman here. You weren't missing Gronkowski too much at that time. Just the dynamic, it just shows you what they need and what they can be. But, Coach, when I look at this, I think things are looking better for my Titans. I do. The rumors are out that they're trying to bring Tannehill back, that they want Tannehill, but I just don't know if I can truly buy that if Tom Brady's sitting out there on the market.
Well, certainly you can't. Common sense would tell you, Tannehill had 10 games last year. Played 10 games, played 10 games and played well. But look at the running back he had, the running game, best in the league. Play action pass off that. Outstanding defense. Good offensive line. No, I'll tell you, you take all that away, put him back in a Miami situation, I don't know that he would have had that type year. So you got him, and let's say you've got a choice between him and Brady. It is a no-brainer. It's not even close. You got a chance to put Brady on a football team that's that close to being maybe getting over the hump. Why there's just nothing to consider. You make that deal every time, and I can tell you without any question they want Brady in Tennessee.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's no doubt any team, and that's where I go back to this, Coach. The whole well, listen, I think Tom Brady's interested in a lot more teams that are interested in him. I call baloney on that. That's not the word I want to use, but that's the word I'm going to use.
And based on what we just talked about, think about that other situation that we've mentioned that nobody's really talked about. But think about him. He's if he had a chance to put Brady with that football team. Well, anyway.
America's team.
Yeah.
Coach, one more note before we go to break here. The XFL, the Dallas Renegades, promote Jeff Jagosinski to offensive coordinator. Why is that a big deal, you say? Well, Hal Mumme, the mad scientist there, has been demoted right now. Of course, he broke his leg in the game. And the Renegades saying that Mumme can't give us what we need right now with his injury moving forward.
Broken leg did not diminish Mumme's his acumen for calling plays and moving an offense. No, I think it was Mumme's system is what happened.
It's that butt whooping they got the other day from the Guardians.
Yeah.
If Hugh Freeze can be wheeled in with holes in a wall to go coach his team, Hal Mumme, you're not getting a pass from us. Listen, we got all kinds of things coming up for you. Nebraska announcing a partnership in a first-ever program that will maximize value of student-athletes' brand. Oh, boy, here we go. And we're going to talk a little LSU and Alabama. Spring practice underway. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
This human resources professional is owning it at work with Kronos. And this is her hype song.
I'm coming at you faster. No stopping, doesn't matter.
I've got HR, payroll, talent, and time.
Bring it on! I'ma show you all how.
We're engaging all the right people.
I'm a body in motion.
Hey! Kronos, HR solutions for the modern workforce. Learn more at kronos.com/HR swagger.
America is a great big country.
Filled with all kinds of different people.
Young.
Old.
City people.
Country folk.
And everything in between.
And every one of us matters.
So we all should count, right?
That's why the 2020 census
wants to make sure we're all counted.
Why is it so important?
Because the census helps inform how hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent each year for things like
new roads, health clinics,
even more school programs.
It also decides your state's congressional representation.
It's just too important to miss.
So be counted and make sure.
Your neighborhood counts.
Your family counts.
Take the 2020 census.
Take the 2020 census.
Come on, take the 2020 census.
And make sure you count.
Shape your future. Start here. Learn more at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Well, Coach, we're going to get into some college news right here. We'll start with what I call the bad news. Look, Nebraska has officially partnered with a Open Doors Ready group is what it's called. It's a marketing firm basically for athletes here. From the university's release, they said to provide their student athletes with the best possible readiness tools, Nebraska has partnered with athlete marketing platform Open Doors to launch the Ready Now program. The Ready Now program provides 3 core pillars to student-athlete success: assessment, education, and performance, tailored to assist each individual athlete. Now, this was actually started by a Nebraska football alum. They work with more than 10,000 athletes currently to help maximize their value in collaboration with partners on social media. They have partnered with the NHL, the NFL Players Association, PGA Tour, along with brands like Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, and EA Sports. Coach, I mean, this seems like it's almost going to happen at this point with the paying the players and things like this. When you look at a program like this, I mean, if you're Nebraska, they believe that it's going to be good because their fans are some of the best out there. They're some of the most hardcore. Any thoughts on this whole ordeal here?
Well, you know where I stand on it. I think it's terrible the way we're prostituting amateur athletics, in particular college football and basketball, college football in particular. I just I hate to see it. I hate to see it come. It's fraught with problems, many problems that are unrecognizable right now, that will be in the future, and I hope it doesn't mean the end of amateur athletics as we know it, college football as we know it. So that's all I've got to say. I just I can go on and on and on. We could talk about it all day, but I'm not going to. I'm just opposed to it.
Could this hurt, Coach? When we talk about this, could this ultimately, we see smaller schools already struggling enough. That's why they're playing games like you look at UConn, of course, they're not struggling as much as some of these other schools, but Ohio State paying a school like UConn $2 million, and that's tremendous for their football program because they're not getting the money that's coming back like in Ohio State, like in Alabama, and some of these other big schools. Could this ultimately end football programs for some of these smaller schools when it's all said and done?
Well, unfortunately, I could see a way that it could. I think there may be alternative ways they can hang on, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be very, very difficult to do.
850-623-1330 is our studio line. Caller, who is this? Caller? Nope, they dropped. All right. Well, maybe had an opinion on that right there.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
This is something, Coach, that I think there's so many different views on this when you look at it, and ultimately, I've said before that if you do this, if you're going to pay athletes, I think it needs to be across the board. I understand guys mean a lot. Like Tua meant a lot to Alabama. They're selling a lot of jerseys and things, and the people come to see him. I understand that. But let's remember these guys that from an offensive line or whatever, this is a whole team thing. Let's not forget that. And if you're paying a guy, if somebody's doing the same job you're doing and they're getting paid more for it, how is that fair? That's all I'm going to say on that. It's just, if anything, give them the equal amount across the board. Okay, here you go, guys. Here's a stipend, which I know they get some money already, but here's a stipend across the board. This is what everybody gets, same amount, because it's the revenue we got from you guys.
Or if any player or players bring in dollars because of some type endorsement or their picture being used with something, that it goes to a fund for all of the players. Now, what you're going to run into is once they do that, then Title IX is going to jump in and they're going to demand if you've got a fund set up for football players, because football players, they want them on posters or advertising or whatever. Title IX is going to jump in and they want a cut of that money.
That's a great point.
For their people. And the baseball, the hockey, and the swim team. And so anyway, look out.
That's well said. I think it's the Title IX issue is something that a lot of people are mentioning as well. That's something important that They will step in. We've seen this before. Coach, I want to move on to some spring football here. A little bit brighter news. Well, maybe not brighter news, depending on how you look at this, but I think almost unfair. Out of LSU camp, the talent gap between Joe Burrow and junior-to-be Miles Brennan, they said, is tremendous. And the versatility when you look at Edwards-Helaire and what he did this year, and the backs they have there, Chris Curry, Tyron Davis-Price, or John Emery Jr. will be very noticeable what they're saying. This is coming. This is reports. People are going and watching this. They're already. I mean, this is almost unfair when I look at this. Listen, I know Joe Brady and what they did was special. They've lost some coaches, as what happens when you go win national championships. Ask Nick Saban. They got new passing game coordinator Scott Linehan's coming in there. They say the gap's going to be too wide this year for them. They are going to struggle. Coach, I think they started spring practice on Saturday. And we've already determined LSU's season on, well, Wednesday, so we're not even a week into it. Is this almost unfair, Coach, when you talk about this?
It is. And listen, their quarterback who played behind Burrow last year. Keep in mind that every day at practice, he got reps. He got so many reps. Burrow got the most of the reps, the first-team quarterback, but this being the backup, he had to be prepared to play in case the starter goes down. So he's going to get so many, usually about a third as many as the starter. So he's been getting plays and repetitions in this system. He's got to have some carryover, a tremendous amount of carryover into this year. I think they've got a good situation for bringing a starter along. And from what I've heard, again, this is all hearsay now, completely hearsay. I've heard people say that he looks like a good quarterback, got a big arm, good arm, and can throw the football. So I say let's wait and see. So certainly wait until spring is over and see how they do. Now I know they're gonna be talent shy as compared to last year. They're losing quite a few people, as you might imagine, but they're still going to be a good football team. I really think they'll be a very good football team, and will have to be contended with to win that the SEC West.
Yeah, regardless of what you come back, it's so hard to win the SEC West anyway. Coach, when I look at this, though, I think Brennan can throw the football very well. Now, I understand comparing him to Joe Burrow is like comparing Joe Burrow to Tom Brady. It's just not unfair at this point. Let the guy go out there and blaze his own trail. When I look at this, though, he's got a quality offensive line coming up. The running backs, I thought, Tyron Davis-Price, John Emery Jr., those were good guys. We saw them in the playoffs a little bit. I thought they were good backs. I mean, you've got a bevy at backs when you look at it. They've got two of the best receivers coming back. Let's not forget Jamar Chase and Terrence Marshall Jr. are coming back. This team, if anything, I think defensively, they've got Derek Stingley coming back at corner. I think defense is going to be the big question mark almost when I look. I think the offense is going to be fine. I think, look, Edo has done a good job. Edo's done a good job bringing guys like Scott Linehan and stuff in there to help try to replace that. Look, this LSU team, I know when we talk about this, the SEC West every year, if there's any flaw you have, well, they'll take advantage of it. But I think let's just pump the brakes on this LSU team. I think let's give Coach O a little credit here. Let the man go out there and do his thing. And for Miles Brennan being compared to Joe Burrow, Coach, like I said before, I think you compared Joe Burrow to Tom Brady, and that's unfair. I mean, let Miles Brennan go out there.
Exactly right. I mean, you can't compare anybody with Burrow right now, certainly until we see how they perform not only in the spring, but maybe early the first 3 or 4 ball games next year. Now, I give Coach O, as you said, another good statement there, JP. Give Coach O some credit. Listen, how many coaches would have recognized what they had in Burrow and gone out and put together the staff? I think bringing Brady in there to work with Burrow was a masterstroke, and dedicating not only himself but his football team to that type offense and that type football team. Big change, big decision to be made. He made it, and it paid off big time. Now, give him credit. He's not a dummy, and he knows how many people they've lost. The attrition rate, especially after a national championship year, is significant usually, and that is the case. So he's aware of that now. Let's see how he plugs it up, and give him credit.
Yeah, I think they're going to be just fine. I think when you look at a team, of course, like Alabama, which after the break, we'll talk about some Alabama spring football and situations they have as well. But for LSU, winning a championship like this, let's not compare this 2020 team to 2019, because 2019 was a team we've never seen in college football. We can't start comparing guys like that. I understand that's what we do, but this is going to be a little different this year. Listen, when we come back, like I said, we're going to talk some Alabama spring football, and we've got some more NFL news for you. You're not going to want to miss it as you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
America is a great big country.
Filled with all kinds of different people.
Young,
old,
city people,
country folk,
and everything in between.
And every one of us matters.
So we all should count, right?
That's why the 2020 census
wants to make sure we're all counted.
Why is it so important?
Because the census helps inform how hundreds of billions of dollars will be spent each year for things like
new roads,
health clinics,
even more school programs.
It also decides your state's congressional representation.
It's just too important to miss.
So be counted and make sure
your neighborhood counts. Your family counts. Take the 2020 census.
Take the 2020 census.
Come on, take the 2020 census.
And make sure you count.
Shape your future. Start here. Learn more at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Your home is important. That's why Geico helps make it easy to save on homeowners insurance. Because home is more than just a place. Home is where you build a giant pillow fort in your living room. And when people ask why you have a pillow fort in your living room, you say it's for your dog. And when they ask, well, what kind? You say, chocolate lab. And weave a web of lies that's almost as intricate as the crown molding in Fort Pillow. The Geico Insurance Agency could help protect the pillow soft fortress you call home. Call Geico and see how easy it is to switch and save on homeowners insurance.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL coach Kay Stevenson on this Wednesday afternoon. Last segment here, Coach. We got a few minutes. Talk about Alabama spring football. Well, you talk about some situations for them. For LSU, they kind of have an idea who their quarterback is in Miles Brennan. They know what they have, kind of their starters and what's coming back. For Alabama, they've got a good situation. If you're a Crimson Tide fan, you're sitting pretty here. When you talk about, I want to start with the quarterback situation, Coach. Mac Jones, Paul Tyson, I think it's Talia Tungavailoa. Sorry about that. And then you've got Bryce Young, the 5-star young freshman coming in, of course, from California. When you look at these guys here, this is a good of situation. Now, Talia is a guy that I don't think is going to be in the hunt for the starting position. I think that, he's not Tua. And, of course, people are mentioning his name, but it seems that they're kind of bypassing that a little bit. You look at the guys, the 3 finalists, I believe, are Mac Jones, which I like Mac Jones. Coach, I know you like.
I do too.
Paul Tyson, of course, Bear Bryant's grandson there. And then the wild card in all this, which some people had surprised that he went to Alabama, Bryce Young. This is a guy that some people have tried to compare to Tua, but I don't know if it's that same style. I guess we'll see. We'll see how Saban mixes him in here.
Yeah, we're gonna see. And I hear an awful lot of good things about Paul Tyson, Paul Bryant's grandson. And gosh, all I hear is he checks all the boxes. He's something special. So we'll see how that turns out. That's a good situation, as you said, a good situation to have, though, at the quarterback position.
Coach, when you talk about Paul Tyson, it just seems so fitting if Paul Tyson was to take the reins for Alabama, Bear Bryant's grandson, with all the statues and everything and the houndstooth, and just lead them to a national championship. It would almost be like a storybook ending for the young man.
Yeah, it would.
Coach, when we look at this, though, the wide receiver situation is something, of course, a couple guys with Ruggs and those guys going to the NFL draft. Well, they come back with Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. Those are 2 guys that were starters last year in that 4-wide situation. They were fantastic. Listen, Jalen Waddle is a guy that Terrell Lewis, the linebacker from Alabama, said at the Combine, this is the guy you need to watch. Like, this guy is the real deal. He is something else, and he's going to get to finally show out. As when you look at Alabama having 2 first-round wide receivers this year, Smith and Waddle are projected to be first-round wide receivers next year. Just the speed, pure speed that was on that roster. But this year, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle coming back, John Mechie coming back. They're getting guys like Trayshawn Holden, Ty Jones. Coach, this is...
Yeah, 2 outstanding receivers from South Florida, where coincidentally is where they get a lot of their speed receivers from South Florida. But coming in, and Mechie, you mentioned, who nobody's really heard about, but last year in the spring game, he was voted most valuable player when they had all those kids there, Judy and all of them. But he, I think he just had caught 5 or 6, 7 passes from over 100 yards and had a big ball game.
I think
I'll tell you, you talk about some depth now. They have some depth at the receiver position.
Well, when you look at John Mechie, Coach, like you said, this is a guy that was the MVP of the A-Day game. I think that's exactly right. This is a guy that's going. And the other thing I want to note, I can't believe you have to say this now, but hats off to the guy for not transferring out. You see guys like that, and if you get the MVP of the A-Day game, you're going pretty high. When you're thinking about going into the season, if you're going to get these reps and you catch 6 passes, a lot of guys would be very uneasy. A lot of guys would have left, but I think he understands the situation. He's in a great situation as well. Very talented receiver. I mean, this was one of the top prospects that committed in 2018 to him. And Trayshawn Holden and Ty Jones, Bell, those guys they're phenomenal. This is elite speed that's coming back to the Crimson Tide. That's why for the people that say, well, if Saban has one more bad year like that, well, first off, just hush. Get out of here. Saban's one of the greatest ever. But at the wide receiver position, this is another thing that you talk about with the quarterback situation. They have a really good problem with the wide receiver position. Now, the question comes here with Trey Sanders at running back. This was the big name guy they got. Of course, Trey Sanders is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be the guy. I really do. I know Harris coming back as well, but I really think Trey Sanders is going to be a great complement to this. And the big question mark, Coach, we saw this last year. Dylan Moses goes down. Well, as Dylan Moses went down, the defense went down. I think defense averaging giving up 33 points. Pete Golden, listen, a lot of naysayers out there for Pete Golden, but I think with Dylan Moses and Josh McMillan coming back, this Alabama defense is going to be pretty good again.
Oh, you can bet on that. And most importantly, they got a guy named Nick Saban who's going to be coaching.
I think that's the most important part there, Coach. Yeah. Well, Coach, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
You bet. Look forward to tomorrow.
We appreciate you guys joining us. Remember, tomorrow at 12, Talk Football with Coach K here on ESPN
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the